Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical, and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome back to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and this is my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Good morning. Or should I say hello, Miss Daphne Lynn? How are you today?
Yes, hello. How are you?
I'm good. Back in the studio again. Get ready for another episode here. We have a lot of people. For some reason, this topic comes up so much, and we have done, episodes on this topic, and I'm sure we're going to do a bunch more. In fact,
it needs clarity.
Yeah, and as a disclaimer, nobody knows. Okay, let's put it out there, and I'm not going to side with anybody or anything, and I have my beliefs, you have yours, we all have our own beliefs and everything, but we're going to share with you some things on the topic of hell, okay?
Trigger.
From NDE perspective.
Yes,
So, and like I said, we've touched base on this in previous episodes, but it keeps coming up so much in these groups and everything, so I thought we'd grab the question here and just kind of share a lot of people's comments
on discussion on it. Yeah, this was a really good discussion on it because, you see a lot of them that have this topic but are very argumentative, pushing their beliefs on others. This one is a really good discussion, and I appreciate the people who commented on this because they kept it real, they kept it calm, they kept it peaceful and loving, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah,
because you can even sense emotion in the word. You can. It's just text. Keep that in mind, and we're actually giving the emotion to it. Keep that in mind. It's just text, but you can tell how the wording is that people are maybe not agreeing with what you're saying, or they're really trying to get their point across, and it's not really an argument. This episode, it's not an argument, and we're not here to debate anybody's beliefs. We're not here to trigger anyone. Everybody has their beliefs, but it is on the topic of hell. So
yes,
Daphne's expression, "Put your boots on," is going to get deep.
Yeah, put your boots on, y'all, because literally, this one's not too deep. They do keep it very, very peaceful and just uplifting throughout this. So I really appreciate the people who commented on this. And of course, we don't use names or anything here, but I know some of these names in here, so.
Yeah, and lots of wonderful comments. And there were so many, like this particular question, I believe it had almost like 400 answers, so.
Yes.
I just went through it and grabbed like the first, just going through them and grabbing the first few off the top. So we could have probably went just that one post and had enough, comments and things like that.
For 4 or 5 episodes. Yeah.
Half a dozen episodes.
Because, looking at this now, we literally are going to have at least 2 to maybe 3 episodes just from this particular where we copied and pasted the comments on it.
And it's no problem because, like I said, it is a very popular subject.
Yes, and it's one that really needs clarified because, looking at it from an NDEer's perspective, what the perspective of hell is. It really breaks it down and helps you to understand that it's not an actual place of torment that one stays in forever. It's nothing permanent. It's more just a state of consciousness that you can go into. Okay. But not all people experience that state of consciousness.
Gotcha. Yeah, because we do hear a lot of stories of what we call hell. Or hellish NDEs, so it is
we
very
have
real.
We have books on it.
Yeah, so the experience is very real. We're not saying people don't have these experiences, so they do have them, but we want to kind of just open up your perspective. So again, if you guys are new, welcome to the podcast. We are the NDE World Podcast, and if you want to find out some more information about who we are, just go to our website. That's NDE.world.
NDE.world.
Yeah, so, and go check it out. We got all types of podcasts on all types of subjects and things like that. But it's really awesome. We'd love to have you over there and check it out. So, and those of you who are returning, welcome back, guys. I'm glad to have you back. So let's jump right into it, Miss Daphne. Let me go ahead and just read the question here. Okay. And I like how they kind of set it up. And I'm going to quote, and it says, topic is hell, but I want this to be a discussion rather than just saying, quote, there is no hell, unquote. What did you learn in your NDE about hell? What is your perspective on hell? Why it's there or not there? And who would go there and why? Really good question. And I also like how they kind of topped it off. They said, please specify if you had an NDE or not when you post. And I love this part. Let's be courteous and respectful of one another's view. So nice question and a nice setup for everything right there. So let's just jump into some of the comments, Daphne, if you want to go ahead and start reading some of them or grab them, or we can swap or whatever you want to do. But they're really good stuff. Let's just jump into it and see what we can come up with some nuggets.
Yes, most definitely. Okay, so the first one here says, I had an NDE and saw a place in which people were forced to see their wrongdoings, but it wasn't brutal. This man I know described it so well. There's a spiritual version of time out. I didn't see it as severe or unfair for us to face what we've done wrong, nor was it permanent. We definitely need a new term. Hell brings up too many traditional notions.
Very good. Actually, that has quite a few little things in it, some things we can really look into here. So they are acknowledging that they did see a place, but it says where people were forced to see their wrongdoings. This is hell. This, from what I'm understanding, this is going to be hell when you have to be forced and you can't get around it. When you plug into the matrix and the life review and stuff like that, and from what I'm understanding, that's like a type of hell, having to live through that.
Right. Now,
could be hell, could be heaven as well.
This person described it as a spiritual version of time out. Now, I've also heard it as like a hospital, a learning class there they have to go to learn to grow as a soul and heal and become a higher vibration. So this really resonated and made sense to me that, we have to face what we've done wrong.
Right. That's what Jesus said in the Gospel of the Nazarenes. You can't get, you're forgiven of all things. God does forgive you, but you still have to reap what you sow, either in this realm or this incarnation, or in, in your life review or in that next realm. There's right. This is what we're getting back from the NDEs. Not all of them, but a lot of them, have that actual NDE life review, Yeah,
I like the way that it's brought out. It's not severe or unfair for us to face what we've done wrong, nor was it permanent. And that's what we were touching on in the beginning of this episode.
I think, to go with that thought, Daphne, I'm glad you brought that out. I was looking at that. Nor was it permanent. Let's look for that element in as many of these NDEs, because I noticed that as a very common element. You do have to deal with what you went through. I mean, what you put out. That's that sowing and reaping. Right. Okay, the cause and effect. You can't get around that. So, but I like that it's not permanent. And Jesus said the same thing in the Gospel of the Nazarenes. Yeah, you're going to have to go through what you went through, but it's not permanent. You can be fixed and you can come back around.
Yeah.
And like it's brought out here, nor was what this person saw in this NDE, nor was it permanent. So just keep that in mind as we go through these NDEs. How so many of them say, if they happen to experience it at all, they all say it wasn't permanent. It usually swapped over to something else. So, and keep that in mind when comparing that to traditional doctrine or dogma, doctrine of hellfire. That it's that
eternal
ongoing,
punishment.
Eternal tormenting. Okay, so we're trying to set the stage and paint that picture. So let's see what a lot of people who've personally experienced this. What they say, and just keep that in mind, how they say it wasn't permanent. So
exactly, yes.
Let's jump on that next one there.
Sure. It says, I believe fully that's what I experienced. But in fairness, I also saw what pain I caused my Creator in my life choices, and I believe the pain of that knowledge alone can be as bad as hell. It hurts.
Think about that.
Yeah.
When you really don't understand this stuff on a certain level until you really start looking into it and you start getting all these stories back, how they all have all this in common. So to go with that thought right there, from what I understand, the life review, I call it plugging into the matrix, but you plug into and you get to feel everything, re-experience everything from all perspectives, from your perspective, from the persons that you're interacting with, from God, the source itself. You're going to feel everything from all perspectives, okay? So
right.
If you put out harm to people, and especially if it was intentional and deliberate, it's going to come back and it's going to hit.
It's going to bite you.
That's going to be, I can only imagine the hell, but like it says, it hurts. And when you know that you deliberately hurt the Creator, you deliberately hurt people, you may not have even known it in a lot of cases. But a lot of times, if you deliberately, it's all about that intention. But
right. I like the way this person brought it out. I believe the pain of that knowledge alone can be as bad as hell.
Just knowing that.
That reminded me of one of the episodes that we done where just in his life review, now he had lived a really, really good life, but he's sitting here seeing all these things that he had done and felt, and the angels, the entities around him had to support him and lift him back up because it was hitting him so hard.
Yeah, it was wanting to pass out, and he was almost like sick and hurting and crying, and so that, if you want to call that as your hell or as your judgment, but you're not
judging
being judged.
Yourself.
Correct. That's the thing. You're not there in front of the throne and God's judging you and say, hey, you're going to go, hey, you get to hang out here and live with me. You're going to, oh no, I'm going to throw you out in the fire out back,
Exactly.
So anyway, let's go on to this next one here. This says that in my NDE, there was only unconditional love, pure and simple. Absolutely no judgments and definitely no hell. Any comment on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that you hear so much of these experiences talking about that unconditional love that is felt on the other side. But those who have had the hellish or distressing or even the hybrid talk about that unconditional love once they got past that torment part.
The dark, yeah.
The dark, the void, hearing things, whatever. They got past it, and it was unconditional love.
Yeah, and just a little side note for those who are new or those who are maybe just wondering, you had mentioned hybrid. The hybrid near-death experience is kind of more in what we call the NDEs, more of the distressing, and it would start in that, but the hybrid means it can actually go from a distressing into an actually really good one as well. So you kind of got both experiences, kind of more of the what we call the
pain and the
distressing,
pleasure.
and then but a lot of people go straight into the pleasure. All right, here it says, in my experience, we are all beautiful divine souls, each of us living a brilliant story, all of us as actors, all of us starring in the story of our lives.
Guess where I'm going with this.
All of us on a journey meeting people that either star alongside us or are playing extras in our lives. Lessons of love, empathy, sadness, grief, everything to be human on our life stage. Our scenes continually changing. Different props are brought in. It's a brilliant, brilliant story. We need the good and the bad, the heroes. We are each our own heroes, and the journey to ourselves is to show us just that. To remember just who we truly are, what we are capable of, what we can overcome. I wailed and laughed at the same time as my humanness was left behind in my true soul self. My divinity of pure love and light shot out in pure ecstasy, joined as one with our Creator in the universe. We are one. We are the same. We are only divine, loving, light energy in my experience. Nice.
Wow. Yeah, definitely is reminding me of my book that I read recently, Remember. And it just so resonated and tied in with that book that we are just here, learning and playing a role. Our scenes are continually changing. I really appreciate it. The lessons of love, empathy, sadness, grief, everything to be human on our stage of life.
And think about that, how you can actually, if it's a stage, okay, if life is a stage, a show, and it's a play, we're all playing different roles.
It's just a movie.
And then when we go to the other side, back to your true essence, okay, that true essence can come back whenever it wants to and actually play the role of another character.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to come back as maybe a man in maybe out a jungle on one part of the earth or something to learn something there. Maybe a woman in this part of the earth, or maybe a child. I mean, I don't know how that works. I hear a lot of different stories and stuff like that. But that true essence of who you are, you can come out here and you can play the role. You can be any character you want. That does make sense.
Yeah, well, commenting more on the bottom part of that, it says, I wailed and laughed at the same time as my humanness was left behind, and my true soul self, my divinity of pure love and light, shot out in pure ecstasy, joined as one with our Creator and the universe. We are one. We are the same. We are only divine loving light energy, in my experience. I mean, you hear this so very much.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's our conditioning is we are nothing. We need people to help us.
Control you.
Yes, exactly. So we have to realize.
You need a savior.
Yeah, we have to realize that we are part of the divine.
Right.
Because he blew his breath into us according to Scripture.
If you want to use that analogy.
So, yeah, we are divine. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people gasp at the thought of that, but and I used to myself, but now it's just like, wow, how loving. How loving to be able to come down here and experience it. Now, I've had some good times. I've had some bad times in my life. I've had some rough times. We all do. It's life here on earth. But I've learned to accept that divine, yeah, exactly. That divine is within.
And it's not just within us, Daphne. It's in all things. You just got to
open your eyes. And we're all connected. We are all connected. What we do to another, we're doing only to ourselves.
Right. Because it comes back.
It does,
regardless. Yes. Those are those cause and effect laws, those do unto others, Yep. So, okay, let's go ahead and jump into the next comment.
I haven't had an NDE, but an OBE as a child and other experiences. Hell is real if one manifests it. Because of the law of karma, which all beings are subject to, we experience what we need to experience. Nothing is permanent, and the only judgment that you are subject to is your own.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Now, there's a couple of things I want to bring out real quick. Notice the part about the actual nothing is permanent. Remember, we did mention that earlier.
Yes.
We haven't hit on it just yet. I think you and I might have touched on it. If we haven't, we definitely have in a lot of the previous episodes. But I like this part here. It says that the only judgment that you are subject to is your own. So keep that in mind. Exactly. I see that as a common element a lot too, that you are judging yourself.
Very common.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, and just how common it is that we're taught that we're going to a place to be judged by others, by the Creator Himself, and that's not the case from all of these NDEs. The life review is to help you to grow and learn, to become a better version of the soul itself.
And for what I'm understanding, that all souls are on this journey. We're all on this journey to become God in the truest sense, to where once you get it, like the masters, the enlightened masters, your Yeshuas, your Jesus and Buddha and all these people, lots of those, but you know what I'm saying, those spiritually enlightened people, that when they know they are God,
right.
This is, it could be through different incarnations. They could be old souls that has been through this journey so many times, they finally figured it out. Exactly,
yeah.
But to live what we would call a perfect, I I don't want to use the word sinless, I don't like that word, sin and sinless, because that's church words, but the point is it may take several different incarnations to come back to be that, back to that God-like personality, but I don't know.
Right.
But
right.
I heard that you also choose to come back and do all that.
Right.
Just to grow.
And with you saying that, it really just reminds me that, Earth, the plane that we're here on, that we know, is not the only place to go to.
Right.
This apparently is schoolhouse Earth. This is the hardest and lowest density of the different places that you can go to. And we choose this for whatever reason we choose it for, but Earth is not the only place that we can choose to go to. Inhabit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard stories like that as well. There's millions upon millions of places out there to grow, and you're always growing. You're going to keep on going and keep on going, keep on going. Yeah, it's amazing when you really start looking into it. Now, to go with this part we're actually talking about, it's kind of like, I wouldn't really say reincarnation, but it's kind of like that in a sense. But like this person brought it here, it says, because of the law of karma, all right, that law of cause and effect, which all beings are subject to. I love how they brought that out, because like Jesus said, you're going to reap what you sow. God will forgive you, okay, but you're still going to have to deal with what you dealt out. And that's kind of what they're saying right there. Because of that, I like how they said that all beings, all animals are subject to that as well, and everything.
Right.
Anyway. Next one here, Daphne, it says that I have not had an NDE, but rather an awakening of the truth of who I am, which is infinite consciousness.
Wow.
I only know from my own experience that hell is the creation of the separate ego, which is an illusion. Being an illusion, hell does not exist, although it may appear to be real only in our minds.
Yes, you hear that so much. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Wow, well said. Any comments?
Very well said. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's only real in our minds, and for those that have had nothing but the distressing, the hellish NDEs, they're going to come back and say, no, it is a place
very real
to them.
But it's very real in their minds.
Exactly, and that's the thing. We are our soul. We are our consciousness. So it is real to that person. It is real to the soul itself. But it's not a place of torment that you continually stay in, as has been brought out in these comments. It's not a permanent place.
Gotcha. Okay, very good, very good. And I like that, how you brought it out, or she, I don't know. It says that being an illusion, hell does not exist, although it may appear real. Okay.
Yeah.
Only in our minds. But right before that says that I only know from like they said, my own experience that hell is the creation of the separate ego, which is an illusion. People live their lives filtering through this ego that they've created of themselves, who they think they are, and what they think life is, what they think God is, what they think the world is. This is just what you've created. So.
Even though this person had not had an NDE, they have had an awakening. And we are seeing a lot of awakenings happening right now in this era, because the truth is, we are that infinite consciousness. We are connected to the divine. So that consciousness continues on and on and on. So there's beauty in that awakening. When you can be enlightened enough to realize that you are that consciousness, that you are going to be continually growing, there's beauty in that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
It's a whole different concept to what we were all kind of brought up in, with the heaven and hell, church doctrine, indoctrination,
Yeah. Okay, so let's move ahead on to the next one.
Sure, go ahead.
It says, I had a death experience last year. The topic of hell did not come up during my NDE. There were no signs that it existed. If there is one, it was far from my thought. The afterlife, as I discovered, is what we imagined or imagine presently, quote unquote. So this could mean that someone could imagine it and bring it into their existence.
Interesting. Kind of ties in what we had mentioned earlier about, it's in your mind. If you are imagining it, it could be real.
Right. Exactly.
I wonder if it's the body's way or the spirit's way of just balancing itself out, and it's doing it in that manner, because you've got to, what we call purge.
Yeah, the life review.
You've got to purge yourself out before you can move on to that next level, and that's where that life review comes in.
Yeah, the life review helps you to grow.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful and loving that, we have that to be able to grow as a soul, to say, hey, what can I learn and what can I do next?
Absolutely. Okay, moving on along. Daphne, would you like to go ahead and take this next one?
Sure. It says also, there was absolutely no religious beliefs present. There were no spiritual beliefs there. It was experienced with the depths of my imaginations.
Oh.
And you hear this so much. It is so common. And most people's beliefs about the afterlife, there is no religion that carries over.
So
exactly.
It's a very common element in near-death experiences that
it is, and
there is no religion over the other side.
Right. And religion is here to help, is supposed to be to help you grow as a soul, to help you grow as a spirit, to acknowledge that Creator, to acknowledge the existence beyond this physical.
Well, maybe a lot of the Eastern religions teach that, like Buddhism and Tibetism and stuff like that. And Jesus himself was Buddhist. He taught a lot of Buddhist traditional ways. Religion, I would say, is more of a counterfeit, wannabe method to try to get you to get to God. But it has a whole different technique, a whole different way. It gives all the power outside of you,
right.
Whereas Jesus, Buddha, all these masters taught that the power is within you, life is within you, the kingdom is within you, God is within you. This is what they taught. Exactly. However, religion got a hold of it, and they started their own version of it. So now we've got religion that says, well, you've got to go through this certain belief. You've got to go outside of yourself. You've got to go through a certain person to get to God. No, you already are God.
And look at I'm going to say this, look at the prosperity preachers. How we as a people are feeding them their lifestyle with their Learjets and all these different kinds of things. We're feeding their lifestyle where the power is within you, within me. We don't have to give it externally.
No, it's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to this next one. This next one is kind of long. It's a little lengthy, So what we'll do, looking at the time, we've got time to do this one. But I tell you what, since we've got such good, comments on this particular topic, and we always do when it comes to this, why don't we go ahead and just split this up into, some multiples.
Yeah,
off of this.
Sounds great.
We'll do that. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do this next one. It is kind of lengthy, and then we'll wrap this episode up. But we'll just pick up with a part 2. Part 3
or
whatever.
4, whatever, however many
mainly
it takes.
because it is a good subject, and a lot of people do talk about it.
And I love the way that it's being brought out because it's not being judgmental.
Debating,
it's not pushy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very respectful, and being respectful and peaceful helps us to grow as a spirit, as a soul. When you're facing off, nothing's growing because you're right and they're wrong, or they're wrong and you're right. So
cops and robbers.
Exactly. So this is a very good discussion to help you to be enlightened, to help you grow as a soul.
Yes, absolutely. And this is from real experiences.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, let's look into this last one here. It says this person had 3 NDEs, okay?
Wow.
So it says 3 NDEs and an astonishing array of memories and after effects. Here is what I remember and can still see as memories. For most source souls, Earth is a school. Mm-hmm. Okay, you mentioned that earlier, and we'll definitely comment on this here shortly. They unfortunately call it the circus. Hey, I wonder why I've always called it the circus.
Right, exactly.
That's one of my favorite sayings, that, life, everything's a circus. Yeah, people are in the circus now. So anyway, they unfortunately call it the circus, and their lives a quote-unquote ride. This is not a joke. They don't take their lives all that seriously. One fellow reported in a PLR that it took him 800 lives to conquer his jealousy.
Wow.
As long as you keep trying, all is well. They have all of eternity to learn those lessons. They set up arrangements for their lives, and these can be very complicated. Okay?
The soul contract.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's exactly what they're referring to here.
Yes.
They set up these arrangements for their lives, and they can be very complicated. I remember them clearly. Often there is a quote-unquote school play aspect to their arrangements. Out of their soul group, they choose who is going to play who and for what reason. Wow. I like that. And think about this. She's had 3 NDEs, went on the other side, and they've shared this experience with her. Okay, souls can be demoted, moved into other schools for more education before they can try the earth game again. There is a dark force and negative entities because there must be a balance of energy. If that were not true, the concept of karma would be useless as a deterrent. Souls can play villains, and they can reverse polarity whenever they want to, and do good roles and take roles which will help them evolve their conscious awareness of what positive polarity actions and thoughts accomplish in the world. If you are a truly evil soul and refuse to be remodeled, source souls report they will be blasted into particles. However, those souls don't always stick around for that and escape to Earth and elsewhere. Some souls never leave Earth and depend upon the kindness of other souls to share light energy with them. But souls who have lived in many worlds and in these worlds learned how to keep their bodies alive for hundreds of years are not all that concerned about Source's teachers and what they want. Satan, if you want to call him that, runs the earth game.
The low density.
The lower, correct. Lower density. He'll take anyone who will pay the price and accept the terms and conditions. He is the tester, the prosecutor, and a pain. We have beings from elsewhere who fly in to play a fun game and then leave. They're not trying to improve life on Earth, nor do they care about mankind. There are many beings we'd all consider evil and malevolent. They are allowed to be, and that is all there is to that. God is kind, even to the unthankful and the wicked. Maybe he hopes everyone will come around sooner or later. I have met Satan and tangled with demons and everything else. I worked hard for what I know. Okay.
Wow, that was very lengthy. One thing that just really pops out at me with this, that I'm like, isn't that interesting? That the soul, if it doesn't change, gets blasted away. I mean,
I've heard of that. Eventually, that if they just do not want to, because it still goes with your free will. You're never interjected with your free will. If your free will, even after everything you've went through, you still got. I mean, it is a choice. I'm not saying, hey, that is what happens, but we need to be open with all this.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is that perspective that, if ones don't want to do it, they'll somehow or another either get annihilated or demoted or in another place or whatever. Well, I've always thought they went somewhere else to grow.
To grow and learn, yes. That's what I've been
like
taught
they were
to.
talking about here. Let's look at that a little bit here. It says, for most source souls, I like how they brought that out. Source souls. We're fragments of that source soul.
Exactly.
We're actually in heaven or in consciousness or with
Our
God.
higher self.
Our higher self is
Yeah.
already there connected, but we're here as just a part of that, experiencing. I guess I like how they said that. It's like a game. In the game of life.
and that's what you hear so often is that, Earth is a place to learn, a place to grow, a schoolhouse Earth. Yeah. I mean, and this person even said that Earth is a school. The circus and the our lives is a ride.
Yeah, I like that. I like the part here. It brought out that this one guy had reported that it took him 800 lives
to conquer jealousy.
Just to conquer his jealousy. Would you like to comment on that? Because remember what we were talking about earlier, it ties in with the karma concept and reincarnation, things like that, that you have to keep coming back until you get it right. If you want to. But from what I understand, when you look at your report card, and that's what the life review is, from what I understand, you come into this world, you have an agreement, you make what we call it the contract, the soul contract. You have your agreement,
pre-planned life.
You're pre-planned, yeah. So you come in, and do you live up to that contract? Do you play that role the way you're supposed to? Because on the other side, when you get to see the life review, okay, you're going back, you're reviewing it, you'll know whether or not you played your part right or whatever.
Right, exactly.
That's where you get your report card.
Yeah, and that's what I have been reading and hearing, that when you go into the life review, that you are faced with what your soul agreement for this incarnation was,
right.
And then you see the life review to see if you learned that lesson and fulfilled that contract.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to know that, it could take some people that many lives to conquer one thing.
Well, I like to go with that thought, how it's tied in. Pardon the interruption, Eric.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say how that she said that, or he, I don't know if this is a woman or a man, said that there is a school play aspect to the arrangement, and the soul group that you're a part of, you all get to choose who's going to play, who. Okay, in other words, say you're in a group of souls. Okay, I guess, I'll go ahead and play this guy here. Okay, I guess I'll play a woman over here. I guess
we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, and there are going to be things in that lifestyle that's going to be used to help you to develop something that you need to develop as a soul. That you're going to have that kind of challenge here on Earth.
Yeah,
that's going to be your role to try to do that, conquer
to
that.
Grow. You're to grow and be enlightened, to continue to grow as a soul. I hear that so much. And it's a beautiful thought, that you want to continue growing as a soul. I mean, just because we've learned what we learn here on this earth doesn't mean that that's all there is. And I'm really believing through the learning about these experiences of that afterlife, what can come. I mean, I'm really believing this, that we will continue on. It's not going to be a heaven or a hell like I was taught in religion, that will just continue on as a conscious soul.
Well, what about this part here where it says that souls, and it's all actually uppercase, I'm guessing they're really stressing this, can. It says souls can, uppercase. Huh? Souls can be demoted in this game, okay? Moved, I love this here because it kind of ties in what you had mentioned earlier, moved into other schools for more education before they try the Earth game again. I like the way that is put out. It
really, yes, it's well stated here, but it reminds me of one of the episodes we done where I think it was on the suicide one, where the souls, they go over there to go to a school to heal and to learn and to grow, and then they get to do it again.
Yeah.
It's that hospital, like she's saying demoted would be that hospital, that other classroom for higher learning.
Yeah, like I just mentioned, it ties in with the concept of love to me more than it does the other. Well, I like this here, and it says also that there are the dark forces. Okay, we do have the negative, and that's obvious here.
That's the polarities.
And then she's even or they've actually even had some personal experience on what they would call that evil, referring it to Satan, and even battling with demons and things like that. So that's very real.
The lower energies
in that regard.
Yeah, the lower densities.
I like this right here. It says that you get to choose, within your group, that you get to come down and you can play the villain. Okay, to have that reverse polarity. Whenever you want to, and you can also play the good roles as well.
Oh yeah, I like that also it says we have beings from elsewhere who fly into play a fun game and then leave. That that is bringing out to me that those other realms, those other planets, those other places, other universes that can have an effect here now.
True. That's something
that
really
the Earth is not all there is.
Yeah.
So,
and also not to mention the different dimensions that's happening right now here while we're here having this experience.
exactly.
Even here on Earth, there's so many
Yes.
different dimensions and stuff.
Yes,
That's
I think
a
of-
subject of its own.
Yeah, I think of Darius J. Wright. I think of his information that he's brought forth from his OBEs.
Well, yeah.
He's got some very interesting things that have been revealed to him.
I'm hearing a lot of feedback on him. He's starting to gain a lot of popularity as like one of the leading experts in the out of body phenomenon.
And
he's
this
been
is
controlling
recent.
this since he was a kid. He's been having these.
Yeah, he is growing. I mean, I've heard of him for a while, and when I first learned of him, he wasn't as popular
like
as he is
popping up
now.
everywhere.
Yeah.
His videos are popping up, so he's doing good. He's good.
Yeah, he is. But he's very knowledgeable.
He's very knowledgeable for a young man.
Yes.
Yeah, I love to listen to Darius. That's Darius J. Wright. There's a little plug for you there, Mr. Darius. That's Darius J. Wright.
Well, I really appreciate his visions of the construct.
Yeah. So that's a whole different subject. So looking at the time here, we went a little bit over, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and break this up into several different episodes, and we'll just pick up with this subject on the next episode, and we'll pick up with the next comment and take it from there. How's that sound?
Sounds perfect. I look forward to finishing and doing more of this discussion.
Absolutely, me too, me as well. And we thank all those people out there who's giving these beautiful comments and everything, and
Yes.
and sharing their wonderful experience with us, and we're able to share those with others as well. So
Yes, and thank all you listeners out there. We appreciate you guys. Love and support. We love and support you guys and everything. So just keep up the good work. We appreciate you guys.
yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to go to NDE.world. That's our website address there, and get more information on our show and what we do. Again, it's NDE.world. So until next time, we love you guys so much. We love you so much, and we thank you so much for your time. And may peace be with you all. And until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
For information about the NDE World Podcast, visit nde.world. That's nde.world.